You are now watching Jets Guru. Be sure to tune in every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern.
This is Daniel Smith from Jets Guru. Welcome to the show. All gas, no brakes. Let's go, Jets. Woo! What is going on, everybody? Jets Guru in the house. Excited to be here with you once again. We don't have the full team, but we got the original guy right here. So we're going to bring it to the table. And guess what? We got JR back. We got the intros back. We got all the nice stuff on deck back, okay? We got some new guests coming on the show in the next couple of weeks. We got some old guests coming on the show in a couple of weeks. We got the New York Jets I know the intro is cold, bro. It is cold. I know it is. That's why I'm hyped right now. That's why I'm hyped right now, because the last few weeks I had to go solo. And, I don't like just popping up on the screen and then it's like, hey, welcome to Jets Guru. I want the music going. I want the theatrics going. This is why we're here. This is why I'm here. We've come a long way from me holding my phone up in the air, doing videos on Sports Guru. And now we're here right now, Jets Guru, over 3,000 followers. Shout out to YouTube for you guys for checking in on us. That's growing slowly. Remember, we didn't even get started on YouTube until like midway last year. So it's going to take some time for us to build our following. So for you guys that don't like being on Facebook, give us some time. We're going to build it. But we're getting there. And then we got some exciting news that's going to be coming up really soon. But before we get to any of that, we got to talk about our New York Jets, right? I mean, you can't paint a better picture for the New York Jets than what you have right now. You really can't. I mean, after Aaron Rodgers blows his Achilles out and you have to reinsert Zach Wilson back into the lineup, the roster, the number one QB, you're like, the season is over. Everybody thought the season was over. And for some of you who didn't think that the season was over and you were pumping Zach the whole way, hey, more power to you, okay? But I'm a realist, and I'm a betting man, and I'm pretty good at it. And I would have to say, if you told me after the Buffalo game that the Jets were going to be 3-3 after 6, I would have told you you're crazy, because I would have said the Jets to get to 3-3, even with Aaron Rodgers, would have been a task in itself. You're still not guaranteed that Dallas game. You probably win that Patriots game for sure, but you could very well lose that Eagles game and say, oh, well, Rodgers would have played better than Zach in that Eagles game. It's just the way the ball falls, the way the chips fall. It's hard to predict what that game would look like and how it would be played with Aaron Rodgers and how the team would look with Aaron Rodgers. Not saying it would be better or worse, although we know it would be better. But when I saw that Zach Wilson was going to be the starter, I was just, and after 6 weeks, I could tell you what, this was a big time team. All offseason, the Jets talked about wear this, wear that, wear this, wear that. Jet up, Simon. But I wanted to see what they were. And now, after Aaron Rodgers, the main cog, the main person who we were depending on to get this season rolling is gone, and you're still 3-3. This is a good football team, right? This is a good football team because to go 3-3 with that 6, dude, that was not an easy 6. That was not. The win that Eagles game was huge after losing that Patriots game. This is a good football team. This team is winning despite the offense at times looking like a high school offense. And that's with Zach Wilson not making any mistakes. It's just at times you can't run the ball, and at times you can't move the chains, and you can't extend drives. I mean, there was times during that Eagles game I was pulling I'm a little light. You see this right here? See how it's a little light right here on my beard? That's because I was pulling my beard, and it's just coming back. Just now, it's just starting to come back. I was pulling my beard because the offense had me so upset. Because I'm like, there goes the defense giving the offense another opportunity. There goes the defense giving the offense another opportunity, another opportunity, another opportunity. How many times is the defense going to give the offense an opportunity before the defense gives one up? Just natural, just gives one up. You're playing one of the best teams in the league, okay? You're eventually going to give up big plays, right? No. The Jets defense was like, no. And what was funny about that game is like field goal after field. As the Jets started to inch back into the game, you saw the confidence of the defense just build. And I love that so much that they feast that when the offense could just do a little something, they're like, okay, hold on now. Hold on now. And they're starting to believe now. This team is starting to believe now that they could get the turnovers. Remember the last couple of years as we've been picking up more steam defensively, even last year when on stretches we played very well and Sauce was doing his thing and Reed, one of the best tandems in the league, we couldn't get the turnovers, right? The ball just didn't bounce our way. The ball is bouncing our way this year. And that gets me excited because there is a little bit of luck factor to this NFL. And to see that Aaron Rodgers goes down, but we're still winning games, lets me know that maybe the odds are still in our favor, that we could still piece this thing together and do something with it. And then stack upon that Aaron Rodgers' recovery is faster than anticipated. Now I'm starting to feel like how I felt in the offseason. I'm starting to feel good about the team again. Now we're coasting into the second part of this schedule where it's going to be easier for the Jets. The Jets are in the driver's seat. And I say that by this, okay? They're in the driver's seat because they really shouldn't have been in this position when you look at it. And they just have to go out and win their games. They've already played the toughest part of their schedule. So if they just come out and play like they have been, in December, they should be playing for something. Now, they're going to have to get a win on this schedule that we have as a loss. They're going to have to get one more because of that Patriots game. Because they should have won that Patriots game. You win that Eagles game, right? Because you win against Buffalo week 1, you shouldn't have won. After losing Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't matter if you're at home. You probably shouldn't have won that game. You win that game. So now, to me, you're +1 on the season, right? Obviously, 1-0. But then you lose to the Patriots, a team that is kind of getting beat up by a lot of different teams. It's like, man, that Buffalo win isn't the same now. And then you go out and beat the Eagles. It brings us back to even. Now we're even. Now we're squashed. So now the Jets are going to have to do one more solid. And we'll get into the schedule in just a moment. But the Jets are in the driver's seat for a lot of different reasons. They have a defense that most don't. The only other team in the AFC that scares me with their defense a little bit right now is the Cleveland Browns. Because the Cleveland Browns defense is kind of doing what the Jets are doing for their team, right? It's like they've got Deshaun Watson is struggling right now. He's trying to get healthy. And they're still going out and they're winning football games, and they're winning their football games running the ball and playing defense. I saw a stat for the Cleveland Browns the other day that they're giving up, I think, on average 17 or 18 yards per drive. That's their average, dude. So, I mean, that's tough. So, we play Cleveland a little bit later in the season, so I'm not sure how that is going to wind up turning out. And we'll look into that a little bit more as it gets closer down the line. But that's a team that scares me a little bit with their defense when I look at who we have to play. That's someone that you have to go, okay, all right, if they piece it together, if Watson gets it together, here's another team where we knew Cleveland was going to be good, but I didn't think their defense honestly was going to be this good. So when you look at the AFC playoff picture, JR, we got a couple solid favors in this last week, but you got Kansas City at the top, 6-1. You got Miami, 5-2. You got Baltimore, 5-2. Jacksonville, 5-2. Pittsburgh, 4-2. Cleveland, 4-2. Buffalo, 4-3. Houston, 3-3. And then you've got the Jets sitting at that 9th spot. Now, when you look at this picture right here, and me and JR spoke about it before the show, what's interesting about this is that there's teams in here that will definitely beat each other up. So you've got Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, all in the same division, okay? All going to play each other if they haven't already played each other once, so 2 times, and if anything, 1 more time each. So one of these teams, if not both of these teams, are going to get dropped out of this standing. But you could say the same thing for the New York Jets because you got the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets. So you've got 6 teams that are holding up playoff spots potentially that are coming from the same division, okay? So the division is going to be super important. And if you're going to lose those division games, if you're going to lose them, then you've got to have those surprise wins, like the ones against Philadelphia that you lost, you have to have. Now, Victor says, and for those in YouTube watching right now, Victor on Facebook says, Rodgers will be back by week 12. I don't think that. No. See, listen, to me, what Rodgers is doing, he's recovering faster in the initial stage. But there's still certain parts of this rehab that he has to go through, it no matter what. And it's not guaranteed that that portion of it is going to be sped up. What was sped up was the fact that he was out of the boot and walking around and moving and twisting his hips faster than most people do. Now, Cam Akers came back, and he's a running back from a blown Achilles, 3.5 months, I believe. 40 years old. I don't know if that's what we're expecting, but it's a less harsh position as far as how you have to move. But then again, also, there's a lot of times you get hit and you get dragged down to the ground and people lay on you in a fashion where your eyes are down the field. So you're not really bracing for those things like running backs do. So again, yeah, it's most likely going to be the year. And then you have to beg the question, right? Now, I mean, almost everyone is going to say Rodgers, but what if the Jets somehow start to steamroll a little bit? Now, you got 3 games coming up, as you see. You got the Giants, you've got San Diego Monday Night Football, and you got the Las Vegas Raiders. The Jets can win all 3 of those games. No problem. The Jets could be 6-3, no problem. What I'm telling my team each and every game in the next 3 games is, do you realize the opponents that you just played? Give me that same effort. Give me that same just grit. Don't come out here and think, oh, we're playing the Giants. Oh, we're playing San Diego. Oh, we're playing Las Vegas. Come out and give me your best, and you're going to win these games. And 2 of them are basically home games. The Giants game is a pseudo home game, and San Diego is a home game. So for me, at minimum, the Jets probably have to win 2 out of 3 for sure. and they're more than capable of doing it. Danny Dimes they don't know what they're going to do with him. And we've played Tyrod Taylor how many times over the last few years, right? He's a good quarterback. He's a solid backup, but he's not unbeatable. And they're struggling with their offensive line up front against our defensive line. And we're actually blitzing from the linebacker position from time to time now, which we've spoken about on this show a million times in the offseason. Please send a linebacker every once in a while on a blitz. He listened to Jets Guru, of course. And as you can see, Quincy Williams and Mosley are becoming outstanding linebackers in coverage. And that's what gets me excited. And that's what makes it fun about this team. Is like when you look at this defense, there's hardly any holes. So when I look at this AFC playoff picture, a lot of these teams have holes, right? And that's what I think is different about this team. Because this team shouldn't be 3-3, but they're so talented. That's why. And I think teams like Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Houston, Indianapolis, all those teams in the same range that we're in, I don't think they're as talented as we are. And we also play a lot of these teams some point down the season. So the most important thing when you look at the AFC playoff picture is that you, one, go out and you beat your division opponents, because two of your division opponents are most likely going to be in the playoffs, which means you're most likely going to be out. So you either have to usurp them or you're going to have to go out and beat teams that you're not supposed to beat on the schedule. And honestly, when you look at the schedule, there's not too many more teams that I'm looking at that the Jets should be honestly really losing to here. I mean, I'm just being fair. I mean, I'll pull up the schedule right now, the whole schedule, okay? And you've got the Giants, the Chargers, the Raiders, as seen on the screen. So you could win all three of those games. And you got Buffalo. Well, you've already beaten Buffalo to say you can't beat him again. But all right, let's not get greedy here, right? Let's say we win 3 straight. And then we play Buffalo and we lose at Buffalo. Okay, that's fine. 6-4. Then we play the Dolphins at home, another winnable game. And here's the thing. It's not that the Dolphins are not unbeatable. Here's the thing. And we watch this and we know this now. If you could just stop the run, you will slow down the Dolphins enough where they can be beat just like every other team. If you cannot stop the run, they have too many weapons and they start working the play action and Tua starts getting outside the pocket. It is good night, because they're going to put points up in numbers where Zach Wilson and this offense just is not going to be able to keep up. So if the Jets can stop the run against the Dolphins, I think the Jets are going to split with the Dolphins personally. And I think it's going to be where we get our home game against them. So I have us at 7-4 at this point right now, looking at the schedule. Then we play the Falcons, the Texans, and the Dolphins. We can take 2 out of 3 of those. We can get to 9 wins. We could be 9-5 at that point. And you got to beat the Texans because they're in the playoff race right now. Now, we don't know what they're going to be like when we get to December 10th specifically, but you got to beat them. So you could be 9-5 going into that Dolphins game. And let's say you take a loss right there. So you go to 9-6. Then you got the Commanders, the Browns, and the Patriots. Now you're going to have to beat the Browns if you really want to make the playoffs, because like we spoke about, 2 teams from your division, 2 teams from another division, Kansas City, you're running out of spots. JR, if I'm not mistaken, there's 7 spots now, right? There's 7 playoff spots across the board.
Correct. Yep.
So there's not a lot of wiggle room. If you're not winning division games, then you're going to most definitely have to beat, obviously, every other team that's in the race with you. So if it's going to have to be, you're going to have to beat the Browns. You're going to have to beat the Texans. You're going to have to beat the Chargers, who I know they're 2-4, but they could go on a run. They're still right there. Okay? You're going to have to go out and beat these teams, and you're going to have to beat the Patriots one time in your lifetime here eventually, okay? It's going to have to happen. I mean, it's going to have to happen And it's going to have to
Right.
happen in Gillette. Because if we don't make the playoffs because we don't beat the Patriots, who are really just Jekyll and Hyde at this point on whether they can get the running game going and what their defense looks like when they show up. So it's hard to really say what they're going to do. But I could easily see this team win 11 games. And I know you guys might be like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of football, right? We got a lot of time. We're at 3 wins. We're talking about 11 wins. It's a lot. I understand. But I'm looking at right now, stacked up against the teams that I see right now. The Jets could do it. And so what? Take the Browns game away. Let's say we lose the Browns game, and I'll give you one more game, one more silly game. Like the Jets lose a silly game. And let's say we lose to the Raiders. We cannot be losing to the Raiders. Do you understand this? That cannot happen, okay? But let's say we lose to the Raiders. You're still a 9-win team at that point if you win all those other games that we talked about. So when I look at this season, the fact that they're 3-3 at this point and they're right dab smack in the middle of the AFC playoff picture, you can't ask for anything more. YouTube, you can't ask for anything more. Facebook, this is what I'm saying.
Right.
What's up, JR?
No, I was just agreeing with you, especially when they had us at 3-3 with Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? That's what they predicted us with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback, going 3-3 in these tough games. So.
Absolutely. A lot of analysts came out and said the same thing. They came out and said that the Jets would be around 3-3, something like that. The fact that they're doing this is showing how well, and this is also without AVT as well. Remember last year how this team collapsed when AVT and Breece Hall left. This is a little bit of a different football team now. It's a more mature football team. This is another rotation, another year in this defense, and it just keeps getting better and better as these players become more accustomed to playing in Robert Saleh's wide 9, heavy rotation, and just the defense in general and how they play. It's really nice to see because this is the first time the Jets defense has been this good since Rex Ryan has been along. Andrew, thank you for the share. And Victor says, I want to see you beat up on another team. And I agree with that. Like, I'd like to see the defense take a night off, a day off, so to speak, where the offense just comes out and just drops a bomb on some kind of team. You know what I mean? And the defense just gets turnovers just because the opposing offense has to push the ball down the field constantly. I think we'll get one of those this year. I don't think the whole season is going to be a complete grind. I mean, if it is, it is. If it is, it is, as long as we're winning. And Scott says, okay, how confident would you be if you were facing a quarterback that's thrown for a little over 1,000 yards, 4 TDs, and 5 interceptions in 6 games? What do you want me to say? What would you like me to tell you? I know who these people are. We all know who Zach Wilson is. But he just has to keep doing what he's doing right now. And I'm being serious about that. And this is not the same Zach Wilson as last year. When Zach was winning games last year, when the defense in the running game was performing, he didn't even look like this. He looks a lot better now. He's spreading the ball around. He's getting rid of the ball a lot faster. He's actually getting a chance to throw the ball down the field a little bit over in the middle. Last year, he really struggled. He really struggled to stay in the pocket. As soon as there was any disruption, he rolled immediately. You're not seeing that from him anymore. You're seeing him step up in the pocket, and even he's getting grabbed and pulled, and he's almost falling to the ground. He's hanging in there. Whoever spoke to him, whether that be the coaches or his dad, his family, his quarterback, somebody had to say something like, listen, bro, you got to step up in that pocket like Mike White did, dog. Like, you got to take the hit, and sometimes you're going to get blasted, and it's going to be a sack. And then 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 times a game, if you just step up in the pocket and throw the football, you're going to get a first down. You're going to get 7 yards instead of 2 on a check because you're running for your life, or a turnover or fumble. Step up in the pocket, dog, and throw the football. And here's another thing, right? The offensive line doesn't know where to block. So we're sitting here blaming this offensive line week after week after week. I'm going to tell you right now, go get your wife, go get your kid, okay, and face the wall. And now what I want you to do is I want someone else turn the TV as loud as you can, super loud, so you can't hear anything. And I want your wife to stand behind you. And then when you call height, she's just going to move around. And then we're going to see how well you can keep up with her just trying to watch the wall, right? And see how much you're blocking. The angles. Dude, there's angles to this game. You know, as a blocker, my quarterback, he's dropping back, he's stepping in the pocket, he's throwing the football. So as a blocker, everything is here. Everything is here, slide, or slide here, slide here. If a guy is running circles back there and or you're a left tackle and you're blocking, you think he's in the pocket, all of a sudden everyone starts shifting. You turn around, Zach is on the other side. What the hell? Now you're trying to catch up and maybe give a little chip block or something so he could run or he has a little more time. It is a nightmare. And these guys are 330 pounds, 285 pounds, 300 pounds. And that is what it was a huge problem to Zach Wilson's game, is the fact that he would step out of that pocket too often and he would roll out, and now the play breaks down. So now the defenders are watching the quarterback's eyes. Everybody's running to the ball. The defenders, the receivers, everyone's trying to meet Zach Wilson at that point. So those are the things that were making him make big time mistakes, and they were becoming habits. And habits become habit forming, and forming things become lifestyle things. And that's what his lifestyle was for football. What they've been able to do with the offensive line playing just about the same as it did last year in a lot of ways, is they basically said, dude, you're going to lose your job entirely if you don't do some of these things here. And I think Zach, I would hope that he would feel that urgency, like, dude, you got to get rolling, because they tried their best to make it through last season with Zach and Mike White and whoever else was playing quarterback. And they're just like, not this year. And I think if Zach would have had bad games, they would have definitely went and got someone else. So to me, I'm not looking at the rankings for Zach Wilson, right? Because for him, that's not what I'm needing him to do. I'm not judging Zach Wilson off of, his ranking. Like, oh, well, he ranks number 30 or 32. So how is he playing well? Well, he's playing well by not creating turnovers, not creating negative plays for his team. I'm seeing a lot more negative plays from the players around him than actually Zach Wilson. How could we say that this is Zach Wilson when how many drives the offense has penalties, the team has penalties? I can't tell you how many times that's happened. This was the second least penalized team at the NFL a couple weeks back, but the last few weeks they've been making some bonehead mistakes. And if you have a quarterback that's still kind of finding his way, putting him in a third and 15 or a second and 20, or a first and 15 or first and 20 is not what you really want to do. And now most teams already know you want to run the ball. And so then when you run it, they shut that down too. So the thing that we have been crying about, and I think, Scott, we've got to be honest about this in our evaluation of Zach Wilson, they've called some horrible play series for him. Now, I get it. It's out of necessity, right? It's out of necessity because you don't trust him. So I'm with you on that. I get you on that. But at some point, you got to take the kid gloves off when you're playing these teams just to keep your running game honest. And that's what you've seen from the Jets. Like, they fed Garrett Wilson in these games. A lot of receivers have been fed. This isn't like last year where guys weren't getting the ball and people were like, come on. And they weren't winning and they weren't moving. But he is going through his progressions this year. Go watch the last couple of games. He's going 1-2 out. 1-2 out. If it's not there, he's getting rid of it. And then what's that allowing them to do is work the play action, which he's better at. His mechanics are better at the play action this year. You saw that a few times this year. And then you're able to work that a little bit. Now, granted, this is a tough ass schedule, guys. I mean, he played some heavy hitters and not just on offense. We always look at Kansas City for their offense this year. And when the Jets played them, they were a top 10 defense. The Cowboys, the Bills, the Eagles. Dude, are you kidding me? The Patriots and Bill Belichick that's had your number. Like, this hasn't been easy. And that's my whole point for this whole damn episode. If we're listening, they're 3-3 with Zach Wilson, who's not making that many mistakes. And they just played a gauntlet of teams. Like the Jets realistically could have won one game. Because I've seen the Jet teams do something like that. They could have won one game, and we would have been sitting here, and they should have got a guy for Zach Wilson. Oh, 85 Bears, right? 85 Bears. Well, right about now, they showing you that 85 Bears-ish type of stuff because they're not getting a lot of offense. They're getting less offense than what the 85 Bears got. And they're playing a gauntlet the first 6 games, and they played without Sauce Gardner and Reed in the same game, and Michael Carter. 1, 2, 3 corners. You're out. Dub. And Zach Wilson made some throws in that game. What are we talking about? The offense looked stagnant, but there were throws to be made. That one specific one to Garrett Wilson, that 30-yard gain on the sideline. Dude, he wasn't doing that last year. He wasn't hitting the tight ends last year. Remember? We kept saying, oh my gosh, we spent $15 million this year on the tight end room. We're not getting any results because of Zach Wilson. Zach is hitting Conklin now. I got Conklin on my fantasy team. He's getting like 5, 6, 7 targets a game, getting like 5 catches. He's filling in for me kind of nice right now. Like Conklin's starting to get going. Like Zach is getting rid of the football. Like we got to do that. If we're going to talk crap about somebody, we got to go into it and talk about how he's done better. So we'll see. We got the rest of the year. You guys know me. I call it how it is on this show. I do not have favorites. My favorite thing about the New York Jets is the New York Jets. And that's point blank, period. Because I've been watching this team since I was born. These players, they get paid to do a job, right? I follow this team out of my own free will and out of my own money, which isn't a lot. And my time and all of this, they're getting paid to do that, okay? There's a difference here. So I look at the Jets. I love the New York Jets. That's my thing. Now, I love players too, like Wayne Corbett, my favorite player growing up, right? I loved Wayne Corbett. Also player Victor Green when I first became a Jet fan, like when I was real young, I loved Victor Green. I love Victor Green. He was such a good player. Aaron Glenn. I loved Aaron Glenn. I mean, and those weren't really good New York Jet teams back in the day, but I just love them. I absolutely love them. They were so fun to watch. This is my team. But I got to call it how I see it. And that's why people get mad at me sometimes. But I tell them, when Zach sucks, I'm going to tell him he sucks. And when he's good or getting better or progressing, I'm going to call it how it is. Because I got to be accountable to my show. I can't just get numbers just to make outrageous claims. That's not why I'm here. I do Jets Guru because it's a passion of mine. I don't get paid for this. I don't have sponsorships. JR don't get paid for this. He doesn't have sponsorships. The only money we even get at all is if you guys at the bottom of Facebook in the comment section where that little star is, if you hit that, you could send us some stars, and those stars equal a certain amount of money that you could go out and then use to go get other money or whatever. But we're not getting anything out of this. So I don't have any angle. There's no angle for me. I'm doing this all out of my free will and opinion as a Jet fan. And I read a lot. I watch the games a lot. I replay and watch the games a lot. I study a lot because I love the game. And I want to give you guys the best fan-driven show that Facebook and YouTube can provide for you, right? But we got to be fair out here. We can't be haters and slanderers. So we got to also say the bad things, but we also got to acknowledge the good things. So to me, it's outrageous when you only key in on the bad things and then blow off the good things. You blow off the fact that he's getting rid of the ball at a faster clip, at a clip that you would want a young quarterback to get rid of the ball. You're not giving him the credit that he's spreading the ball around, that he's actually getting Garrett Wilson the ball. The other game, he had like 12, 14 targets. That's how you're supposed to do it. We're not talking about how Hack has to have better play series than run, pass, because you're doing a disservice to anybody that plays quarterback on your team. We're not talking about the offensive line and not creating any running holes for Breece Hall at times. We're not talking about Hackett and Salah not running with Breece Hall enough at times. Feed the man the ball, right? Where's the screen calls, right? So for me, football is such an amazing sport when you break it down, because when your quarterback is making mistakes, yeah, put it on him. But when your team is winning and it just looks a little bit clunky, I think there's ways to go about fixing your team schematically as a coach, right? I think because it's like he's not beating you, but he's not necessarily throwing you over the top. But you don't need Zach Wilson to throw you over the top in these games, right? You're sitting here and you're using your running game, you're using your defense, and you're using a player that's going out and moving the chains and getting first downs when you need to, right? The Jets were able to get into the red zone, 4 or 5 times. And it wasn't just because of the defense. They just couldn't close it out. So for me as a coach, I'm sitting in my red zone offense, how could I utilize Zach Wilson the best to get points on the board? Because we're getting down there, and they were getting down there, and they were able to move the ball a lot better. But how could we close the deal? Well, for me, personally, I want to use Zach Wilson's legs. And I don't want to use his legs to roll out and waste time. I want to use his legs right off rip, like we used to see with Ryan Tannehill all the time with the Dolphins, who used to kill us with boots. And it used to blow me and just blow my brain. I'm not going to say it because we shouldn't say stuff like that on the show. But it used to drive me insane. There we go. It drive me insane. I want to see more things for Zach Wilson. He's quick enough. He's shifty enough. He's got good footwork. He's ran a lot in college. He's ran a lot enough in the pros where he feels comfortable enough. Let him run, because they're game changers, man. You're giving yourself an extra 4 plays. Or instead of having a 3rd and 7, it's a 3rd and 2. And now you can use Breece in such a way where you're like, man, Breece can get 2 yards here. And the Jets' offensive line, this is what's so funny. Everybody wants to talk about Zach Wilson. Look at the time period that Zach Wilson started to play better. Well, isn't it wonderful that the offensive line started to play better too? And they had better grades. Why? Because the quarterback was playing better. Why? Because the quarterback was getting rid of the ball faster. And what does that mean? That means your pass block grades are better. Your run block grades are better. It means you're on the field more. So there's more opportunity for you to have more positive plays. That is why. Because the offensive coordinator dials up a play that's comfortable for the quarterback to be able to get rid of the ball faster. And this is how the New York Jets have to play football with Zach Wilson. Quick strike offense, get the running game going. And then when the running game gets going, then you start working the play action, rely on your defense. Hopefully you get turnovers. Good night. And good luck trying to score more than 21 points on the Jets right now, especially if the offense can get any type of movement where they can. Listen, here's another thing that we're not talking about. The best player on the New York Jets right now is Thomas Morstead, the punter. Okay? The punter is the best player on the team. This guy is insane. Okay? He punts the ball and it just stays up there in the air. And so if the Jets offense can just get to the 40-yard line if you're going to die out. Like if you're going to die out on the 40-yard line at least, because Morstead's going to put it on their 20. And now you have to march from your 20 all the way up. And this is where the Jets defense is good, because the Jets defense is bend, don't break all day. Even last year, and they got a little beat up towards the end, but last year and this year, bend, don't break. Bend, don't break. You're going to allow plays at time. It's a passing league. There's a lot of flags. As we know, every single game we watch the Jets, the referees throw some kind of magic flag on us. So we know how important that is, right? Listen, don't play with me like I don't do my homework, okay? Don't play with me like I don't look up stats and statistics and I don't watch games 2, 3, 4, 5 times. If we're going to sit here and talk about Zach Wilson, then we got to break it down proper. We got to talk about the play calling. We got to talk about the offensive line. And when we say these guys are playing better, it's no coincidence that Zach Wilson is playing better. Now the offensive line is playing better. Now I want to see some better play calling, like using Breece Hall more. There is no reason in the world that Breece Hall shouldn't have 25 carries a game. You took the chains off of Breece Hall. You took them off. You said the chains are off. So let's see him. I want to see 25 carries. I want to see 25 carries from Breece Hall. And I want to see Zach Wilson work that play action. And I want to see the Jets throw on first down every once in a while to keep it fresh. Okay? That's what I want to see from the Jets. Now, I've been kind of ranting and raving a little. See, I'm excited. I got JR back. I got everything is back now. I got all the stuff is back, the bells and whistles. I got 3 pens in my hand. 3 pens. I'm not using one of them. That's how excited I am. I got 3 pens in my hand, and I'm not using one pen. I'm just holding them like I'm pointing and I'm doing some crazy stuff over here. I ain't using any of them. Not one pen. That's how excited I am to have everything back. I'm back. JR's back. The music is back. We're going to be having people who work at ESPN and have their own shows. They're going to be on Jets Guru in the coming weeks. Details coming soon. Wesley Walker, the man himself, he loves Jets Guru. He's coming back to talk about the Jets. So we got in the next month, in the month of November, we got some big things happening for Jets Guru. And there's going to be some big things happening for the New York Jets. I see this being a huge month for the New York Jets, guys. And I'm not playing around here. And I'm going to put it all on the table. I think I should get something. No, let me chill out. I was about to say I'll shave an eyebrow or something if the Jets don't win 3 games in November or something crazy. But let's skip that. So let's go to the matchup really quick so I can get some prediction going. Just so you guys know, Buffalo is up 3-0 on Tampa Bay. 3 minutes left in the first on Prime Video. 3rd and 5 for Buffalo on the Tampa Bay 38. So the Jets are 63% favorites to win this game. If I'm not mistaken, this might be the only game that the Jets have actually been favored. Water break. I'm down to 2 pens now and a colored pencil. Now listen. Woo! The Jets can't fall asleep here. This can't be a trap game, guys. This cannot be a trap game for the Jets. They're kind of playing at home, right? It's like, the Giants have been sucking. They got to come out not flat and on fire. And there's no excuse. You had 2 weeks to prepare for this football team. You should be ready to come out and do some big things against the New York Giants. Now, we just spent all this time talking about Zach Wilson and how, he's only got 4 TDs and 5 interceptions. Well, let me tell you about somebody named Daniel Jones, okay, who's got 884 yards and has 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and the New York Giants paid him $70 million guaranteed. Woo, woo. So the Jets have not fallen to that trap. Zach Wilson is just basically playing for his career, and basically playing to be the consistent backup for Aaron Rodgers next year. So I know he's not playing, Scott, but the point is he's their franchise quarterback that they paid that money. So I'm mentioning him because he is worse than Zach Wilson this year for a 100% fact. And it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback against the New York Jets, whether it's Tyrod Taylor or Daniel Jones. The New York Jets should come out here and win this football game. The Jets are a better football team than the New York Giants at nearly every single level. And I'll even say that even at the running back position, because Breece Hall is a better running back than Saquon Barkley. And I'll say it all day and tomorrow and the next day. If you would have said 3 years ago, I would have laughed at you, but not today. Today, Breece Hall is a better running back. He's also playing with Zach Wilson. He's also not getting the same carries that a lot of other marquee running backs are getting because he's coming off his knee injury. He's got 66 carries for 426 yards and 2 touchdowns. Barkley has 74 carries for 284 yards. And Breece Hall doesn't even really get worked into the passing game more than not enough. And I think that he should, because he is an all-around capable back, in my personal opinion. The Jets have the better receivers. The Jets have the better tight ends. To me, Darren Waller is not the same player that he was with the Raiders a few years ago. The Jets have the better defense. The only thing that you might be able to say is maybe the head coach. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd still rather have Robert Saleh right now. I really like Robert Saleh. I think he fits the New York Jets. I think he fits like just the kind of mantra that we've had all these years. And offensively, I don't need him to be an offensive guru and all this other kind of stuff. If my offensive coordinator can call plays and my GM can bring in players. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, this should be a 27-17 win for the New York Jets. And I'd like to see them get out to a fast start this time and not have to kind of grind teams down and then start to kind of pick it up towards the end. I'd like to see them come out and do some kind of damage. I'd like to see them come out and be quick with the ball. Now, the one thing I'll say about Wilson that I noticed when I watched the tape over a second time, I noticed the first game, but I really keyed in on it. Early in the game, when he was getting rid of the football, he was almost too fast in his reads, and he was giving away what he was doing. Like, if you go back and you watch in the Eagles game in the very, very beginning, the way he was stepping back and getting rid of the ball, it's almost like he was like just hike, just get rid of it, get rid of it. I think he'll get more comfortable over time, and I'm hoping that, the coaches can really key in on this and just say, hey, you got to sell it a little bit. That's how, you sell a play action, right? And you saw Zach Wilson do better on the play action. There was one that was so beautiful. It looked almost like it was Aaron Rodgers. You just didn't know. It was almost the same body movement. But you got to sell it a little bit. That's what makes the best the best. That's what makes them the best, is the sell. You see quarterbacks that get rid of the ball quickly, and let's say they go through their reads and they want to make a decision to throw the ball here. They might look here first and immediately throw here because they know exactly where the receiver is going to be. That's what Wilson is not doing right now, is that he's getting the ball. He's almost eager to get it and get it out, and that's cool. But you want to sell it a little bit because it looks wonky. You're kind of giving away where you're throwing the ball. You're not spending that little extra millisecond looking someone off or maybe taking a peek down the field. You might have a receiver for a better play. So that's the thing he has to do, is just slow down. And as the game went on, he slowed down a little bit. It was a big game. I mean, this is every game that Zach Wilson has had to play, including the Buffalo game, has been an immense, powerful, important game to the Jets season, because it's like one loss and you're like, oh man, then we got to play Dallas next week. Oh, we lose to Dallas. No, we got to play Kansas City. Oh, we lose to Kansas City. No, now we got to play. It makes you feel, and what's up, Mike? It makes you feel like, and the Jets haven't done that. They fought back. And every single player on this roster has shown a capability at times that they could give something to this team. And that's what makes me so excited to watch them play. It's not the same whining, complaining football team from last year where they didn't know what they were going to do. They actually believe in Zach Wilson. You're not hearing any of that nonsense, any of that chatter. So I'm hoping he can build on it. I'm rooting for him because then that way we have a nice backup for when Aaron Rodgers gets back, or maybe more going on in the future. I don't want to have the Jets to go out and have to find another player or have to go even deeper into the pool of quarterbacks that they have, Trevor Siemian and all this nonsense. Like, I don't want to see those types of things for the Jets. Zach just has to be quick with the ball, go through his reads, and then run when nothing is there. And I think they'll be okay. So I'm going 27-17 New York Jets this weekend. And hey, listen, I'm not going to complain anymore. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to watch every game. I'm not going to complain about Zach Wilson anymore. I'm just going to watch the next month of games, and then we'll find out if he's going to be the guy that can either manage it or not. But thank you guys for tuning in so much. I'm not sure if the picture's frozen, but it is. You can still hear me. Love you guys. Appreciate the support each and every week. You guys are the best. Guru out.
Weaken on your knees, but you're only gonna lose if you don't learn from your defeats. Yeah, gotta make the world know my name.